Hey, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the channel, man. Go ahead and like this video, subscribe to the channel, comment down below. Let me know if you're a fan of Takeoff. Let me know if you're a fan of Migos, Young Dolph. Let me know who you rockin' with, where y'all from. Let's get right into it, man. So look, DJ Pat trying to get his bond lowered, man. He tried to buy the ticket to Mexico. Bro was already trying to hop out the country, man, on the next jet out. So they canceled all that on him. They said, you ain't going nowhere. He keep trying to get his PI to get this bond lowered and everything like that, man. And so look like he don't want to pay none of them high prices because they said he got cash on hand, that he flight risk ready to go. He trying to flee basically, clearly. But then again, he might know something we don't know. He might know somebody from in the crowd out of all them 40 people who might have seen something, who might be willing to say something to help Pat get out. Because you got to understand, all them people they was with, that's their friends. That's the people they know, they hang out with. There's people who live and literally stay in 5th Ward, Houston, or 3rd Ward, or any ward out there, man. Basically, ward on the street is that this dude is trying to get somebody to talk that was at that whole party, right, from the Migos. He trying to get one of them 40 people to talk with the PI as a witness and say that Pat didn't do nothing and that it was all on Cam and Migo bands. So you see how they trying to do it. So he's really trying to get somebody to say that he didn't do it and that it was someone else. And it looked better if he got a witness to say that. So that's why he tried to get this bread. And instead of getting the defender, he got the PI. And so because the PI can figure out who it was that was there. So this is the strategy they using. He basically getting some type of like super PI, man, some bounty dog, the bounty hunter type thing, man. Because he basically up the bag, and the bag to pay the dude, the PI, ain't even getting paid from Pat. He's actually using the bread that they would have paid the defender to pay the PI to try to figure out if the witness can snitch on somebody else for him. So he basically is trying to recruit a witness to snitch on somebody else and say that Pat didn't do nothing. This whole thing is crazy how they're trying to get away and get out scot-free of this Takeoff situation, man. Takeoff looking down mad right now. Like, you can't let these people get off on this with a slap on the wrist. People trying to get justice for Takeoff right now, man. A lot of people in Houston, a lot of people in Atlanta, they would be disappointed if they just butchered this to where they don't actually get the people for it and that they start letting people go and people can start taking trips to Mexico and when they supposed to be like right there waiting to see if they actually did this to Takeoff or not. So this the crazy thing, a lot of people like they, they don't want to sit and wait there. So they're trying to hurry up and get out and blame somebody else basically. Because I guess it all comes down to something. They're going to figure out if there's more to it, if it's more to who got invited, anybody else there that might have had a role to play in this. They still got to talk to Junior and Jazz. They still got to talk to them because MobTies, this was an event that they threw. So that's part of the whole thing that Pat is trying to get the PI to even talk to MobTies, and they don't want to talk. That was the problem, is that at first when the people came to help Takeoff, they was trying to figure out what happened, and they asked everybody. They even asked Junior and all of them, and they ain't get a word out of nobody because obviously nobody gonna want to talk, man. If it ain't, nope, it's not. They don't want to talk. They ain't see nothing. They didn't hear nothing. They were standing right there, but their eyes was closed. They were asleep. They ain't hear or see nothing, but they were right there. And it's crazy because nobody wanted to say nothing. So at that time, they really could have tried to clear everything up and figure out what was really going on. And anybody could have said anything at that point. And these folks had, like, Pat could have gone all the way out. That's why Pat was trying to buy the ticket to Mexico. I told you that he might try to flee and run off to Alaska or something. And he ended up actually going south to Mexico. He tried to do this, and that's why they had to come and scoop him so quick. The only reason I think that they got him so quick was because Cam pretty much told him that Pat bought a ticket to Mexico and that he was about to flee and everything, and that he needed a chance to be able to point fingers at him in case that they try to blame Cam for everything. So Cam tried to let them know to get him before he dipped. And so that's what they did. They went and got Pat before he dipped. So that way they could ask all the same exact questions and the new info and details that they got from Cam that pretty much put Pat right there next to Takeoff, right there in between Quavo and him ducking down and almost even swinging. And it's unclear whether he had the blick on him when he was swinging or not, or ducked. And so that's another thing too. So they're going to get Cam. They got Cam and Pat for the same exact thing, for being there and for, being seen with the blick and everything like that. But Pat, hey, it's 40 of them people there. And let's just say, like, okay, out of all 40 of them people, it's got to be a couple people who are cool with Cam. And it's got to be a couple people who are cool with Pat. Like maybe they went to high school together. Maybe they used to chill, played on the same team, or they might have worked at the same McDonald's together or Wendy's or whatever, right? And so what happens is that Cam or somebody's family or Pat family or they could have even reached out themselves and said, hey, y'all was there. And because they hang out with Cam and Pat, they could try to be like, oh, you gotta, they could reach out to him, call him and tell him, yeah, you gotta tell the guy that's gonna come ask questions about what y'all was doing on the day and Migos and all that. He's gonna be like trying to come and ask them what happened. So they need them to go and say, hey, no, Cam and them weren't there, or Cam and them didn't do it. So they basically trying to get other people who was on the scene, like the other 40 people who know them, to tell the PI that it wasn't them too, or it wasn't Pat. Because Pat's the one who's trying to set all this up. He's the one who asked them. He asked the whole court thing to give him 5-10 bands, between 5 and 10 bands, to go get the PI to go do all of this stuff. And the first thing he's going to do is go to Pat's friends that was also there at that bowling alley. And he going to try to get them to say that it was Migo bands that pulled it first, or that it was somebody else and that Pat was scared and this and that. And so you got to see how they're going to try to use the people that was there to try to get a different narrative out there. And they're going to try to, and if they actually friends with Pat and Cam, they're going to try to get their homeboys out. And another thing is that they also got to be like, they got to be careful with what they say to them, because they don't want to actually get MobTies tied up into this. So they're going to try to avoid saying that they got invited or by any group, or that the party was a MobTies party. So they're going to get asked those questions regardless anyway. So you never know if it spins it into a whole another direction, because these are people who were actually there. You got to actually look at the people who was there to figure out going forward from there and what the connections that has to everything else that's been going on. Because this whole thing is revolving. It happened at the dice game again, man. You see the dice game from Duke the Jeweler. If you didn't know back then you should know by now that you can't be going to these type of things. You can't be going to these type of dice games, these setups, they're not getting paid to go out there. It's really like, I guess they thought that they was their friends, but why would you ever have to go and check in to a city and all you're supposed to be doing is hanging out with your friends that apparently run the city, but you still got to go and check in? That's crazy. So it's telling me that they wasn't as good as friends as people thought they were. The whole Migos and whoever that they usually hang out with in Houston, whoever that they usually come with, like you've seen a lot of the pictures with them and MobTies for years hanging together. But then again, you got the same people who hang with MobTies in Houston who's beefing with Quavo on Twitter the whole entire time, beefing on social media with the Migos. And then when they go out there and they mix the crowd and put all them people in one building, yeah, of course something is going to pop up. Something is going to, it's not going to go as planned. It ain't going to be all just like a fairy tale. No. So this is why you don't mix the crowds like that. Plus, why is these millionaires like Quavo and Takeoff, they millionaires? They should have never even went there. So they had somebody trick them. Quavo must have convinced Takeoff to go, because they should have been either doing a show, hanging with their fam, doing some other type of business. I mean, there's room for fun and all that. You could have fun with the fam. They could go and get more private areas and stuff where it's not just a bunch of people from the hood in Houston hanging out at the same party that you at. And then one of the people that start beefing, you know, and then you start getting an argument with the people you checked into. It's just don't put yourself in a situation where you gonna go to something where something could happen and you already got a heated argument between the people you checked in with. And those are supposed to be your friends. So at that point of the argument, when the argument taked off, they are no longer friends at that point. They became like any other any other person that they didn't like or had issues with. So that at that point is when they didn't care at that point to protect them no more. That's why it happened the way it happened. And this is like they got Cam for it, they got Pat for it. And they said Pat was the one. So we're looking at everything, trying to piece everything together, put 2 and 2 together, because a lot of people saying that. So these are the different scenarios explained to y'all. So keep up with the channel, subscribe, comment down below, like, stay tuned for the next breaking news video, and I'm going to catch you on the next one.